Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Healthy Waves, where we dive deep into the world of wellness, longevity, and transformative health solutions. I'm your host Avik, and today we are talking about something that we all think we have figured out: hydration. But what if I told you that the kind of water that you drink today, or maybe might be missing the key to your energy, recovery, and the overall well being? So my guest today is Kyle Flynn. So welcome to the show, Kyle.
Thanks for having me.
Lovely, lovely. So Kyle, like before we start, I'll quickly love to introduce you to all of our listeners. Dear listeners, Kyle is one half of the Kangen couple, a powerhouse duo on a mission to revolutionize the way we think about water. So after experiencing their own health breakthroughs, Kyle and his wife Taylor discovered the science backed magic of electrolyzed reduced water, an antioxidant packed, hydrogen rich water that hydrates at a cellular level. But they didn't stop there. So, through their company, Tridal Vision Coaching, they are not just changing the lives, but they are also helping health conscious entrepreneurs build the businesses around this game changing discovery. So if you're drinking your daily gallon but still feeling sluggish, dealing with inflammation, or maybe wondering why your performance isn't where it should be, then this episode is for you. So get ready to rethink everything you know about water. So welcome to the show again, Kyle.
Thanks for having me.
Great, great. So the water wake up call. I really love this concept. So, I mean, you and Taylor were already health conscious, but something was still missing. So, what was your aha moment that made you realize that water was the missing link?
Yeah, for sure. So we have and currently are gym owners. So I opened my first gym in 2013,
Hmm.
and I've owned multiple gyms since then. And my wife, I met her in 2019, and she was very big into the nutrition aspect of fitness. So she is big into counting her macros, like she weighs and measures everything she eats. Has unfortunately gotten me into the same habit. Feel great as a result, but it's just a lot of work weighing and measuring your food all the time. But regardless, so even though we owned a gym, we were weighing and measuring everything we ate. We just still felt like there was something missing, right? Like just we just didn't feel great all the time. We get sick every season, and we're like, why if we're spending this much time worrying about our health and still, getting sick and still not feeling great all the time, having low energy, like
Hmm.
there's got to be something missing. Like the average person is definitely not spending as much time as we are on their health and fitness. So if we can't even feel like we're getting it right, then like how are we
Hmm.
going to educate others and help them as well. So when we got back from our honeymoon in 2023, we did a great, European tour. Felt great, and then we kind of started doing more research into kind of the water and the health in the United and the food in the United States. We kind of came across some alarming things. And we first kind of got into the contaminants that are present in a lot of the water systems in the US and all around the world, right? The United States is supposed to have some of the best water in the world, or at least some of the most developed water systems in the world. But what we found is, the level of contamination that is getting into municipal water, into people's well water. It's pretty scary when you look at some of the reports that are out there of the number of cancer causing contaminants that are in people's water. So we've actually found that our water had about like 14 contaminants that were over the health guideline. And we were just drinking, tap water out of our sink. We figured, we've drinking that kind of water our whole lives. We've survived, must not be that bad for us. But when we kind of started peeling back the curtains, it's pretty crazy when you find out what's in the water and what it could be doing to your health with you not even noticing it. Because unfortunately, the body's really good at buffering contaminants that come into it, well, albeit either, poor food sources or even poor water sources. So it's a great thing that our body's so resilient, but it can also kind of cover up some things that you don't even realize are going wrong.
Very true. Yeah. Yeah. And like I have to say that's so interesting because most of us assume that drinking more water is the solution, but as you're saying, that it's not just about the quantity, it's about the quality. So, what's actually happening in our bodies when we are drinking the wrong kind of water?
Yeah. So, like I said, our bodies are great fortunately, at protecting us from contaminants at a microscopic level, which is great. But there are, over then, but you have to think about then also, it's great on a micro level. So like on maybe a yearly level, or a decade or 2 decades, maybe even. But these contaminants that are linked to things like cancer, maybe even cause an uptick in diabetes if your diet is also out of whack, or out of proportion of what it should be. And a lot of these, even cancers, of the bladder, prostate, intestinal cancers and things like that, are all kind of stem from potential issues or contaminants that are in your water source that are building up in your body, over decades, not just months or years.
Exactly. And so like okay, so the hydrogen myth, right? Um, one of the biggest takeaways from your work is that people are uh, people are dehydrated even if they are drinking tons of water.
Yep,
So if you can break down why this happens and how electrolyzed reduced water changes the game.
for sure. Yeah, so I think it's kind of it's 2 points, right? So the first thing we kind of realize when we start doing our research is that, is essentially like what happens in the water cycle, right? So when rainwater comes down, it gets collected into, rivers, ponds, streams, and then it goes into various water sources, and then that water is, disinfected or cleaned in some variation in some way by the government, the city, and then it is pumped into pipes into your house, and then that's what you drink, which is all well and good, but it's a constant cycle of this water being constantly used and reused and reused and reused and reused and reused, right? And a lot of a lot of the local government agencies, no slight on them, like they're doing everything they need to do, because really only 1% of water that is going into people's houses or into parks and neighborhoods is actually drinking, right? Most of it's used for like watering grasses, and flushing toilets, washing clothes, different things like that, taking showers. It's not really being consumed, so they're doing enough to keep it, generally safe in the short term. But they are simply just adding different chemicals, right? They'll add different, chlorines and chlorine off byproducts to essentially neutralize the current contaminants in the water. But if you're just adding things in the water to neutralize what's already in there, like, you're not taking anything out of the water, right? The filtration process is being largely neglected on the macro level. So it's really imperative for the consumer, for the individual, to take water filtration really seriously and understand what they need to be filtering with, and that kind of, their small cheap filter in their sink or in their refrigerator, or the, plastic pitcher that they use, might not be actually getting the proper contaminants out. So that's kind of step one in the water conversation of, like, I think having people understand that, like, properly filtered water should be the baseline in what you're consuming. Because if you're not even taking that step, the contaminants that you're allowing into your body is going to cause some issue. It might not be now, again, might not be 5 years from now, might not even be a decade from now, but something is going to happen, and the issues can only compound if you're also not taking into consideration the kind of diet that you're eating, or the type of exercise, or the consistency of exercise that you're undergoing as well.
Wow. That's eye-opening. I mean, and what's even crazier is that we assume bottled water is the healthier choice. Um, but as you have pointed out, that's not necessarily true. So why is bottled water often just as bad or worse? So one thing I feel like, because the bottled water is what happens, like it's a um, most of the minerals are getting washed away. So what I feel, but definitely would love to hear from you.
Yeah, so that's kind of, what's been promoted to the general population over the last, I guess probably 30 years when bottled water started becoming more popular, is that, this water that's bottled for you from the natural spring that it comes from, the Fiji
Mm,
water from specifically from Fiji,
mm,
is the purest that you're going to get because you can't get access to these kind of waters, right? You're not flying to Fiji to go drink water, but they're going to bottle it for you at the source and bring it to you, right? And so that's why they can charge how much money they do. It's not a lot per bottle, but if you look at it, the cost per gallon versus what, it would cost you to, have a gallon of tap water, it's like 30
mm,
times the amount of money. So that
correct.
was a promotion, and companies are really good at promoting that. But I think what we're finding now, and that sure might have been true, at the beginning, but what we're finding now is, not only the ecological disasters that bottled water is presenting in tune of the billions of bottles of water that are being dumped into landfills every single day across the world, but then also, the plastic that is leaching off of these bottles in the transport process, because a bottle from Fiji to get all the way to me in Washington D.C. isn't going to be here in a day or two, right? And this is the way the supply chain works. It's going to take weeks probably. So I could be drinking water that is, at best case scenario, a month old, that's been sitting
Mm,
in this plastic container that, could also be shipped in, warm weather, right? So that heat or direct sunlight onto the bottle is going to cause even more of that plastic to leach into the water bottle. And that's
mm,
with a premium water brand, right? Not even talking about the more economical water brands that, yeah, sure, are a dollar or two cheaper to you, but maybe the plastic is not as great. And maybe the water source isn't even nearly as good. And they're just essentially bottling tap water and sending it to you, from states away. So it's what we're finding now is the amount of PFASs and PFOSs, like
so,
essentially the plastic
mm,
byproducts that are leaching into the water, could actually be a more dangerous product than they ever really realized.
understood. Yeah. Yeah. So, also, like, you talk about the hidden dangers lurking in municipal and the bottled water. So, what are some of the biggest toxins or maybe the contaminants that people should be aware of?
Yeah, for sure. So, like I said, there's a great company called the Environmental Working Group, EWG, and they have a website. It's ewg.org, and it's a United States based company, but they essentially did a broad spectrum analysis of every single municipal water source in the United States. So you can go to that website, type in your zip code, and it'll tell you the exact contaminants that are in your water. So we
Wow.
found, so in our water, I think I said there was like 13
Mm,
over the recommended guidelines of parts per billion.
mm,
Glyphosate was a high one, which is like a weed killer, a
mm,
pesticide. There was chromium. There was, not in our water, but actually our family's water, who lives down in Miami. They actually had 8 times the amount of safe levels of uranium in their water, which is a super heavy metal. It's a radioactive metal. That was actually in their water source. They have high halomethanes, trihalomethanes, which are all cancer causing
oh,
contaminants, and things like that. So, um, again, I don't have the specific ones for everyone, but if they go to ewg.org, they can type in their zip code and look up the exact contaminants. And it's pretty eye opening because a lot of them aren't 2 or 3 times the level. They're hundreds of times the level. Um, and it's, that amount of contaminant over the healthy level limit that can cause issues,
correct.
times years. compounding interest essentially.
Mm.
It's no wonder why the rates of chronic disease are skyrocketing in this country.
Mm. Got it. Understood. And also, your story is amazing because not only did this water transform your health, but you and Taylor turned it into the thriving business. So, what inspired you to take this from a personal discovery to a movement?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think so. Kind of taking a step back for that from a second, and kind of
Mm.
setting the stage for it a little bit, and the kind of our talk so far has been about properly filtered water, right? So making sure that your water is properly filtered and things like that. So again, that's what I say is kind of like the baseline of what we feel like of what can be, the best water available. And on top of that, on top of filtered water, we do have the electrolyzed reduced water. So just to kind of give a brief overview of what that is hopefully we know what a water molecule is, right? It's
Mm.
two hydrogens and one oxygen, right? And
Yeah.
they're combined together in a shape. It's a bent shape, right? Because it's a polar molecule, meaning that the oxygen is negatively charged and the hydrogens are positively charged, right?
Mm.
So all water molecules are charged in some way, and that creates their molecular shape, and then also causes things like the hydrogen bonds between the molecules and things like that. Which gives us like surface tension and things on water like that. So, what electrolyzed reduced water is essentially sending an electrical current through the water. And we have an ionizer machine that we have on our counter next to our sink. Our water from our sink goes into the ionizer machine. The machine's also plugged into an outlet, and it sends an electrical current through the water. So then a process called electrolysis occurs, right? And electrolysis is breaking down molecules, essentially water molecules, into its constituent components. So based on the amount of electricity that flows into the water, it we had the water ionizer has 8 titanium platinum coated plates, which facilitate this electrolysis process. And then based on how long it runs over the plates and how much electricity put into the machine or into the water, it splits it into a positive current and a negative current, right? So we put the electricity into the water as it flows to the machine. It splits the current into a positive current into a negative current. So the positive current comes out of the bottom of the machine. The negative current comes out of the top hose of the machine. So it has two hoses on the top and the bottom. And the negative current is alkaline water, and the positive current is acidic water. Right. So we know from the pH scale that that aqueous solutions or any kind of solution has some kind of pH in terms of a range of acidic, which would be a low pH like a 1, which would be very acidic, or a alkaline pH, which is up to 13 or 14 on the scale. And then in a solution, that pH system is always balanced, right? So if we're sending 7 pH water into the ionizer machine, it's going to split into, equal and opposite currents. So if it's a strong alkaline current coming out of the top, like an 11.5 pH, which is the strongest that this machine can produce, then a 2.5 pH is going to come out of the bottom. If we have 9.5 coming out of the top, it's going to have a 4.5 pH coming out of the bottom, right? And so on and so forth. So all these water types have different uses. Focusing on primarily the health benefits of everything, the drinking water is what the machine uses is between an 8.5 and a 9.5 pH. So um, this alkaline water has a ton of health benefits, right? And not only is it alkaline in terms of its pH product, but it also has a ton of hydrogen gas in the water itself. Because when you break that H2O apart, the alkaline portion has a lot of hydroxide molecules, so OH. And then there's a lot of free floating hydrogen that has been separated from the hydroxide molecule. Those hydrogen molecules attach to each other, creating H2 or hydrogen gas, which is a super powerful antioxidant. So not only is this alkaline water that's being used for drinking water that we use daily has a high alkaline content, which is good for your acid-base balance of your body, but it also has a ton of antioxidant properties and features. And those hydrogen gas, the hydrogen-rich water that we call it, is great at neutralizing ROS, so reactive oxygen species, which are essentially um, they're natural byproducts of oxygen metabolism, and they play a dual role in biological systems, which is great for things like immune function, but can also become damaging if the levels are super excessive, from things like pollution or contaminants in your water or radiation, smoking, and different toxins like that. So the hydrogen-rich water that we use, this electrolyzed reduced water that you can drink and consume from a water ionizer, can help negate some of these things, which can help delay things like or can help prevent things such as various cancers, diabetes type 2 specifically, and even has been studied to help slow down the aging process because it reduces and minimizes damage to DNA and telomerase and things like that.
Got it. Understood. So, I mean, if someone is who is listening right now and thinking, I need to upgrade my hydration ASAP. So, what are the first steps that they should take care of?
Yeah, so the first step, kind of just same thing we talked about in this discussion, is making sure that you understand what's currently in your water. If you're only drinking bottled water, I would say start looking into various filters that can be used to filter out your current tap water. That's going to save you money right up front, right? If you're not drinking bottled water every single day, then at least you're saving money and also drinking better water. And you can also upgrade, a good water bottle that you're using. We generally recommend stainless steel water bottles so that they are the most like inert bottle. They're not going to, leach any kind of metals or any kind of obviously plastics into your water because it's a stainless steel. And that's kind of where I would start, is making sure you have proper filtration from a cheaper water source and not necessarily a bottled water source, and having a proper, device to hold the water. So a good water bottle.
Understood. Yeah. And also, like, and for those who are curious about the business side, how can they learn more about turning this into a opportunity?
Definitely. Yeah. So kind of, yeah, piggybacking off of, the question you asked me earlier, is kind of what
Uh-huh.
caused us to create this into like essentially a business, right? So um
Correct.
we just found after drinking, so we did our research into the water, and we were like, okay, there's some validity in this. I found over 100 research articles online, like actual research articles from like Google Scholar, PubMed, and reputable journals like that all essentially said the same thing, that there is an overarching benefit to this water, right? So as being a health professional, we always look for what we can change in people's daily routines, daily habits that can make the most impact on their health.
Mm.
So, being a gym owner, was kind of my original thought process on that, is like, okay, if I can give someone the best workout, if I can make sure they have, the best training and they understand how to, take care of their body, then that's going to help them the most, in their lives moving forward. So, and it does. It's great help for people in terms of becoming as healthy as possible for them, is having a good trainer, someone who can guide them through the gym. But
Mm.
also then, what about the other 23 hours in the day? And then as a gym owner, it was kind of frustrating seeing, people thinking either A, that 1 hour could make up for a bad 23 hours, or just, or just me being frustrated that I couldn't, provide the amount of change I was looking to change someone, just giving my 1 hour of interaction with them, a couple of days a week. So finding a product that we found that we had never heard of first, and that B, was there was actual research backing up that it had some validity and some benefit to, different things, from skin issues, from digestive issues, from chronic disease issues, and even just from a health and wellness standpoint of the acid balance of your body. We had to at least give it a shot. And drinking it on our own, we felt an immediate difference within a couple weeks. My mom has bad eczema on her hands, like it cracks open, and she's super painful, and she has a really hard time every winter. And it's been like that since I've been been
Mm.
alive, and it actually started with my sister. So about 38 years ago. And so we convinced my mom to try the water from the machine, and her eczema of 38 years cleared up in 6 months. And she tried everything. She's tried steroid shots. She's tried, creams and, everything that doctor's ever given her, different juice cleanses and, different things like that to kind of clear up, hopefully clear it up. And nothing ever worked. And, she's like, I'll try this dang water and see if it does anything. And within 6 months, her hands have been completely healed. She ended up buying her own machine and shower unit as well, and hasn't had an issue in the last 18 months. So it's been awesome. So just finding something like that, we
Mm.
just felt like, all right, like this is something that people can change easily, right? It's a one-time purchase of a machine. Now you're going to have the best drinking water in your house for the next 20 to 30 years, right? The machine that
Yeah.
we promote is certified and has a warranty for about 25 years as long as you
Mm.
take care of it on your end. It's a registered medical product, so it produces medical grade water. It's the only ionizer machine on the market that does that. Because if you're going to purchase something and use something that you expect to get medical benefits from, then you shouldn't cut corners there, right? You should get the best machine possible, one that carries a medical certification, if that's kind of what you're looking for, and that should be what you're looking for, right? Um, so then we were like, the fitness professional should be the person that's championing this, right? The trainer, the gym owner, the chiropractor, the physical therapist, the person who's interacting with people on a daily basis regarding their health and wellness, like those
Mm.
they should be the champions of this technology, right? They should have the answers in their hands, the answers and more complete solution to what they're already doing. So now it's like, let's educate trainers, let's educate people who are already interacting with hundreds of people in their ecosystem in order to get this information out to people as much as possible, because we feel like people trust us for our training knowledge and what we've accumulated over the last decade or so, and they trust what we're saying. So we believe that educating other fitness professionals to then spread their influence to their specific demographic is the best way to kind of get this information and technology out to the most people. And then it also helps fitness professionals, financially as well. So not only is it a product that benefits their clients and changes their lives, it can also add some financial stability to the fitness professional life, because we know the struggle as fitness professionals, up for 5 a.m. classes or 6 a.m. classes, and then you're having to stay afterwards for 6:30 p.m. classes or clients because they want to come in after work. So you're constantly working before the day, you're working after people's work day, you're working on weekends. Pretty much anytime people have free time is when they want you to work with them. So it's a very demanding job. And it's unfortunately trading time for money, right? You only have so many hours a day, so you can only train so many clients a week. And so you kind of have that limits on what you can earn as a fitness professional. And if you don't have other additional sources of income that can help supplement that, and help offset some of the burden of having to invest your time into so many other people's lives, then it becomes a real source of burnout. So we're trying to help good fitness professionals stay in the fitness and health field, so that we can start kind of curbing what we're seeing right now happen in society, and just seeing rates of obesity just skyrocket. And we want to do something about it.
Exactly. Perfect. That's really awesome. So, Kyle, this has been such an incredible conversation today, and I think we just busted a huge myth that people don't even realize is affecting their health. Before we go, uh, where can our listeners connect with you, learn more about the electrolyzed reduced water, and maybe possibly get started with you and the tailor?
Definitely. So in terms of research, I always recommend people do their own research, right? Don't take what I say, as gospel. So and always start with a reputable source. So a lot of times people will search electrolyzed reduced water on a search engine, and they'll get mixed results, and they'll say that, this looks sketchy, right? And that's because a search engine kind of just provides the answer that you're looking for. So if you type in, is electrolyzed reduced water a scam, it's going to show you results showing you that electrolyzed reduced water is a scam because that's what you search for, right? But you can also search for, is the iPhone a scam? And you're going to find articles claiming that the iPhone is a scam, right? But it's not. So what I recommend people do is, instead of going to Google, go to something like Google Scholar, which is where research articles are published and hosted from various medical journals all across the various realms of science. It's just scholar.google.com, where you can
Right.
also go to PubMed and just search electrolyzed reduced water, see what comes up, read the articles. You can pretty much just go with reading the abstracts of the articles, and that gives you a basic summary of what the article looked to research, how they researched it, the findings, and then the kind of a short conclusion at the end. So if you read the last couple of sentences of an abstract of an article, it'll save you from a lot of the technical jargon if you're not super versed in it, while still giving you a good understanding of what the findings were in the article. So that's where I would start. Go to Google Scholar, go to PubMed, do your research there, and then if you're interested, I'd be happy to answer any questions. But you can connect to us. The easiest way to connect with us would be on Instagram at the Kangen Couple, or you can go to our website, thekangencouple.com, and check out more there. And you can even drop us a message through the website, and we'd be happy to connect and talk to you more.
Perfect. Lovely. Great. And so, to everyone who is listening, hydration is the foundation of health, but not all water is created equal. So, if you are serious about longevity, energy, and overall well being, take this as your wake up call and connect with Kyle and Taylor. Learn more about the science and start making small shifts that will pay off in the long run. And if you found today's episode valuable, then share it with someone who needs to hear this. And do not forget to subscribe to more powerful conversations on health and the wellness. So until next time, stay hydrated, stay curious, and keep riding those healthy waves. So thank you so much.
Thank you.